Good morning, readers.
Good morning, Mrs. E.
We know that sometimes when we read, we come across unknown words. Maybe they're words that we've never seen in a book before. But we have a we can do it attitude. And we have ways that we can figure out these unknown words. Some ways we've learned is to look closely at the pictures. We also learn to look for chunks. Well, today I want to show you a new way that you can figure out an unknown word when you come across one in one of your books. I call this strategy skip and return. Can you say that? Skip and return?
Skip and return.
Excellent. I'm going to tape this up to our board so we remember which strategy we're learning today. And I'm going to show you how to use this strategy when you come across an unknown word. Let me show you what I mean. I was reading a book the other day about chores that people do in their house. And I came across an unknown word. And I'm going to show you how I used skip and return to figure it out. Okay, it's a long sentence. Now, if you know the word, you can just whisper it in your hand, but I'm going to show you that I came across an unknown word. I was reading this story, and some of the words I knew right away. My mother uses a, and then I came to this word, and I wrote it in purple so it would stand out for you. I came across this word, and it was the first time that I've seen that in a book and tried to read it. And so I kind of paused for a second and thought, I didn't know the word right away. I didn't know it automatically. So I had to use one of my tools from my toolbox to try to figure it out. So I tried to look for chunks. That's the one that I tried. So first I read sp. My mother uses a sp. Then I said on G. Spongy. My mother uses a spongy. If you know it, that's okay, but don't tell me yet. I was thinking, oh, my mother has never used a spongy. I do not know what that is. And I really couldn't figure it out. So this is the strategy I used. I skipped right over it. And I thought to myself, let me keep reading. Maybe I'll learn more about what the story is about, and then I'll go back to the word, and that will help me figure it out. So watch as I do that. My mother uses a spongy to wash dishes. Oh. So I'm picturing in my mind a mom at the sink washing dishes. I can picture that in my mind. Not if you can picture that in your mind. Let me say that again. Not if you can picture that in your mind. Okay. So now let me go back to that word. I'm thinking about what would you use to wash dishes? Soap. My mother uses a soap to wash dishes. That doesn't really sound right. A soap doesn't sound right, but the s was correct. S. But this is sp. What else does my mom use? Let me think about it. To wash dishes, soap. Oh, sometimes she uses a sponge. Let me see if that looks right, sounds right, and makes sense. My mother uses a sponge to wash dishes. Does that sound right? Yes, a sponge. Does it look right?
Yes.
Sponge, sponge. And does it make sense?
Yes.
Yes, it does. I did it. Readers, did you see what I did?
Yes.
When I came to a word that was unknown to me, and maybe the first time I was reading it, I tried one of my strategies. I tried one of the tools from my toolbox. But if those don't work, here's another tool you can use. You can skip it, read on to learn more about what's happening, and then go back and see if you can figure out what would look right, sound right, and make sense in that sentence. Okay?
After explaining her lesson objective and showing her children the new strategy in action, the teacher gives her children an opportunity to practice the new strategy on their own.
So I have another sentence here. And I tried to select a sentence that had maybe an unknown word in it for you. Now, you know what? You might know the word that I wrote in purple. You might know it, and that's okay. I hope that when you read, you know a lot of the words that you read. But if you do not know it, I want you to try and see if this strategy helps you to figure it out. And if you know the word right away, you can whisper it in your hand, but let other people have time to think, okay? Okay. You ready? Be very quiet. I'm going to show you the sentence. Okay. I want you to read the sentence very quietly. This is the word I thought might be unknown to you. I want you to think, what is that word? What is that word? She likes to put now. I want you to think about the word. Did you know the word automatically? Did you have to use a strategy?
No.
I want you to turn and talk and tell your partner what the word is and how you knew it. What's the word? Now tell me, honestly, because I'm very interested. Did you know the word automatically, or did you have to use a strategy? All of you? Or did you have to use a strategy? Did you have to read on? Okay. Let's turn back. Great. Okay. Let's read the sentence together, shall we?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. She likes to put
pepperoni on her pizza.
Okay. Boy, finding unknown words with this class is tricky because you're good readers. Thumbs up, and I'm very curious to hear what strategies you used. Thumbs up by your belly if you just happen to know that word. A lot of you did. Good readers. Okay, now let's put our hands back on our lap. I know that I was talking to one partnership, and Dominic said that he actually read on. He tried to read this word, and it was very long. You have to admit that. It's a long word, right? But that when he saw this word, what's this word? Pizza. To go back and figure out pepperoni was a little bit easier, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now you know when you read, readers, today and every day, whenever you read, you can use any one of these strategies when you come across unknown words. Or if you're really having some trouble making it sound right and the letters aren't matching up and they don't look right and it doesn't make sense, you can use this new strategy, skip and return, to learn a little bit more about what's happening in the sentence and then going back and using your does it look right, does it sound right, does it make sense to figure out that unknown word. Today when you read, you have a Post-it note in your book box. And if you come across an unknown word, I'd like you to use your Post-it note to mark that word. And then I can come around and talk to you about the strategies that you're using and the ways that you are figuring out unknown words. Give me a round of applause if you're ready to read. Great. May I have row 1 please get their book baggies?
Although the teacher conducted multiple conferences during this lesson, only one will be shown here. This video is shown as an example of the structure of a conference. However, other conferences from this lesson can be found throughout the Reading Workshop section of Learn.
Hi, Hezekiah. How's it going? Good. Good? Let me see. What book are you reading? In the park. Look at that cover. That's beautiful. What are you learning about?
Animals and bugs.
Animals in the park? And what are some animals they've talked about?
They got a mother duck and a daddy duck and a swan,
Yeah.
a stick bug, a dragonfly, a frog, a lizard, butterfly, a beetle. A bee, a spider. Got more.
Wow, that's a lot of animals.
In the park, I saw a frog, a lizard sitting on a log,
Nice.
a mother duck and a mother duck, a father, giraffe.
You're using parts of the word that you know, right? Let's use your fingers to cover up. You just, the first, what's that sound?
Ger
Okay, and then,
and ache.
right. Now you use your fingers and you do it. Use your fingers just like I did.
Ache.
Now can you put it together?
Drake,
Drake. Go back to the beginning and reread.
a mother duck, a father Drake.
Drake. Can you use the photograph to help you figure out what a drake is?
I don't really know which one is the father.
Which one do you think it would be?
This one, because it's bigger than it.
Maybe. Yep. It's bigger. Also, the word mother came first, so I think mother would be on top.
And the father will be on the bottom.
I think
'cause
so.
Ladies go first.
Ladies go first. You're so polite. What is a drake?
Drake.
That's kind of a new word for me. Is it an owl?
Oh, it's another word for duck.
That's right. How'd you figure that out?
Cause sometimes they use Drake for duck. Sometimes they don't use the same
Is
word
it-
for the same animal.
Is it a girl duck or a boy duck, do you think?
But
How do you know?
because the mother duck calls a duck, and the father duck is called a drake.
So you're getting so smart using clues to figure out not even just how to say a word, but how to understand what the word means. That's really good because both things are important, right? To know how to pronounce it and then to know what it means. So if I made you famous at the end and I said, Hezekiah learned a new vocabulary word today, what would you tell the class was the word that you learned?
Drake.
Drake. And what would you tell the class the word means?
It's another word for duck.
What kind? Just any old duck?
No, it's a word for a father duck.
A father duck. Very good. Great. So I want you to keep reading, okay? And you are doing so many smart things. You are using your finger to help you chunk words, and you're using the words around it to help you understand what new words mean. Can you keep doing those things when you come across unknown
Because
words?
the father duck always has a special name.
Does he?
Except for duck.
Yeah. The father duck needs a special name, right? He needs it. You can't just call him father duck, right? You have to call him what?
A drake.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you. So, while you were reading today, I was able to meet with several readers, and we have a lot of great things to share during share time right now. I was meeting with Zakaya, and she was reading this book called April Adventure. And there's a whole mystery that has to be solved in this book. And while she was reading, she came across an unknown word, and that's why her Post-it note is there. And she actually wrote the word on the Post-it note. And we talked about how she solved and figured out this unknown word. And you know, she actually tried out the strategy that I shared with you today during our mini lesson. She couldn't quite figure it out, so she skipped it and read on. And then she thought about what would make sense in that sentence. Great job. Let's give her a round of applause. Good job. Here you go. But there's so many ways that we figure out unknown words. And I want to share with you what Hezekiah did. May I hold the book for a second? He was reading this fabulous informational book called In the Park, and this had a lot of information about the types of animals and bugs that you might see in the park. And he got to this page. It was such a nice, it's two great photographs of ducks. And it said a mother duck and then a father, and we thought it was going to say duck, a father duck, but they used a very fancy word for a boy duck. And so he used this old strategy that we love. He looked for chunks. And he covered up the last three letters and just did dra. And then he covered up the front and he did ache. And he put it together, and what word did you get? Drake. So he used this fabulous strategy. Wonderful. If you used our new strategy or one of our old strategies today to figure out an unknown word, would you please give me a thumbs up right by your belly? Right by your belly? Terrific. And tomorrow, readers, I'm very excited because my friend Siani discovered a whole new way to figure out an unknown word. She used a rhyming word. So tomorrow, I'm going to share with you Siani's famous strategy for figuring out an unknown word. Great. Because remember, readers, when we come to unknown words, we can do it. Let me hear you say that. We can do it. And now I'm going to add our newest tool, skip and return, to our chart. And you can use this chart in our classroom anytime you're reading to help you remember how you can solve unknown words. Great job, everybody. Kiss your brain.